Welcome to the Baseball for the Blind lesson on defense and hitting. I'm Stefano Malaguti, and I'm the Secretary General of the Italian Baseball for the Blind League. During our first session, we addressed several issues. These included the birth of the game, the teaching of the rules, and the technical movements needed for athletes to learn the game. We also looked at base running in detail. We heard precious testimonials from our athletes and discussed the various ways in which this game has proven to be beneficial in the development of social and physical skills. In this second part, we will speak about the ways in which coaches can develop offensive and defensive skills, as well as further testimonials from our athletes. We will watch videos and see how the game is played well. Baseball for the Blind was invented by Alfredo Melli. Baseball for the Blind was perfectly adapted for the visually impaired. It is played with a ball that makes a rattling sound, a regular baseball bat, a baseball glove, and paddles.
Ready? Okay. Begins the second attack for Germany.
The attacking players hit the ball and follow the base paths, guided by first base that makes a buzzing sound. They run towards second and third base and then continue toward home plate with the help of the rhythmic sound made by an assistant's paddles. On defense, players must do their best to locate the ball by using its sound and attempt to make an accurate throw to the sighted player at second base. This game is quite simple and has been adapted for blind athletes who can run, hit, throw in a safe atmosphere that ensures freedom of mobility. It leads to the athlete experiencing greater autonomy in everyday life. For over 25 years, this sport has featured a regular season for over 100 visually impaired athletes. It has made its way to Cuba, Panama, New York, France, Germany, England, and Pakistan. The league and its representatives desire to spend the knowledge of this game to all countries who ask for information. Baseball for the Blind is protected by a copyright and is taught for free at institutions for the blind, as well as supported by federations in the various countries who are interested in introducing this game. Let's talk about defense. This is certainly one of the most difficult technical aspects of the game. The sighted player on the field will be able to position himself accordingly as soon as the ball is hit. The visually impaired players who play defense will use the sound of the ball to establish the path needed in their attempt to make a play. They can hear the ball on average of 4 to 6 meters from its arrival. There are two fundamental defensive techniques plus one addition. These are a safe defensive play and the stretched out dive, either stood still or with a running start. The defensive technique is based on the speed of the ball and the amount that it's bouncing. The defender will be square to the ball and will hear it as it approaches. The defender will move towards the ball and assume the right position by starting on his knees. The right knee will be on the ground with the lower limb stretched out as long as possible. The left foot should be near the right knee. The glove will be positioned in the space in between the right and left legs and will lightly touch the ground. This position will allow for a late adjustment should a dive be necessary, but also does well to take up space and prevent a ball from getting past the defender. The barrier dive is used to stop a bouncing ball hit at a medium to high speed. The defender will make that late adjustment as needed. The defender will then feel the ball and transition to the throwing hand to make a play. The dive itself must be done with a degree of caution and will require being parallel to the ground as the ball arrives. This is one of the best ways to ensure the ball does not get past the defender. It is practically the only way to defend hard-hit ground balls. It will not always be easy to transition to the feet and make an accurate throw after committing to this slide. But the goal is to limit the base runner from advancing to the next base. This technique can also be used on any type of ball. The body must be positioned at an angle less than 90 degrees respect to the ground with legs extended, arms stretched forward, and ensuring there's also protection of the face. We call this forming a banana position. The goal is to keep the ball in front of you. If the ball gets past the defender, they must do well to get back up and track the ball based on the rattling sound that it makes. The defender must do their best to locate the ball that stopped moving by attempting to locate the path it took and grazing over the ground with the glove in hand. Then, take small steps until the ball is felt and can be picked up. The defender advances toward the point where the ball can be located, picks it up with a bare hand with fingertips touching the ground, and maintain a constant movement until the ball is found. This becomes a challenging task, especially when the ball is no longer moving, as the sound will no longer be heard. In this video, you'll notice that a blind defender is following the sound of the rattle, and as such, positions himself kneeling in front of the ball to stop it. If we didn't know that he was a non-sighted player, then we could safely say that he's just a regular baseball player. This video demonstrates the technical skill of diving from a still position. The defender will kneel, maintain a strong and upright torso, and then touch the ground at one side before committing to lying down. Here he's training this movement from both sides. This next video represents the progression in defensive training. The defender starts in an upright position and then makes small shuffles in order to put himself in a good position to make a dive to stop the ball. Here we see a French defender making a play on a ground ball. The defender is using a great position to keep the ball in front of the body. The athlete's doing the very best to locate the sound of the ball and then lengthens the body to stop it. The ball hits the defender's feet, and the defender quickly gets up, locates it, and makes a throw to second base. Behind the defender, you see a teammate doing a great job as a backup on the same play. In this video, we see the ball hit the stomach of the defender, who then stands up and makes a throw to the sighted player at second base. Here you can see a player search for the ball. On his knees, he's using his arms to graze over the infield dirt and locate the ball, based on where he had last heard the sound of the rattling. Then he puts himself in a position to make a throw. Notice that the defender does not use his glove to locate the ball. The progression from this point will include the use of the glove to locate the ball, whereas this athlete is demonstrating the drill at its initial stage. The throw. The throw follows the same guidelines as that of baseball, that being the classic three-finger grip. Keep in mind that the target of the throw will be located by hearing the 2-2-2 called by the sighted player. The player will not find this grip and the throw easy to first. It will require time to develop as a trusted skill. An underhand throw is less likely to result in overthrows. Defenders are eventually taught the crow hop, with 2 steps taken as a way to build momentum into the throw. It is suggested to make the throw as low as possible to give the player at second base a better chance to make a play. Sometimes there's not enough time for the defender to get back up to his feet and make an underhand throw, so a throw can be made from the knees using the same mechanics. The throwing skill can be coached just the same as it's taught to sighted players. Have them sit up in a knees cross position and ensure they're bringing their arm back with elbow up and behind their torso to avoid a weak throw. As you can see in this video, the player is kneeling with a rag in his hand instead of the ball and is performing the dynamic movement to build the throwing skill. Teach players about the importance of using a good wrist motion as they follow through their throw. In this video, you'll see a player working a type of towel drill in a way to hit the target presented by the coach. In this training method, the player is working on getting good extension with his arm path. Now you can see the progression made into throwing balls against a fence that is not overly far away. In this slow motion video, you can see the mechanics of the throwing motion always with the use of the rag and done from a standing position. This exercise is also practiced by professional baseball players who work on their mechanics with the towel in hand. The sequence is now shown at a normal speed. Now you can see this player perform his throwing motion with a rag in his hand and making a lateral movement in order to hit the target presented by his coach. This is the progression from the previous video in which the player was in a kneeling position. Here you can see the final drill and the progression of all the previous sequences. In this incredible video, a Cuban defender dives near the foul line to stop a ground ball. He stands up, pointing his feet and glove in the direction of the second base target. Once he locates his desired target, he makes a great throw, looking like a professional athlete. As you can see in this slow motion video, the defender, after having deflected a hard hit ground ball, moves towards the ball by advancing from the lying down position. He then locates it and does his best to get up quickly and make a throw. No one would guess that this was a visually impaired person. The sighted defender at second base will call for the ball by yelling, two, two. This is done as soon as the blind player comes into possession of the ball. Keep in mind that the defender needs to call the ball he's attempting to locate in a way that other nearby defenders can peel off. The defender at second base assumes the same technique as a first baseman would have. It is not an easy task to field this thrown ball, and sometimes the sighted player at second base will need to leave the base to make the play. The next video will show an example. Hitting the baseball in our sport is done similar to how a baseball coach fungos balls to his defenders. It is a technique gesture quite difficult to perform at first. It requires three conditions: contact with the ball by the bat, hitting the ball between second and third base, and hitting the ball on a bounce within fair territory. Batters will learn to develop the hitting style that works best for them. They should experiment with different ways of doing this before committing to their individual way of getting hits. The coach should be prepared to help them through this challenging task. 20 minutes. The following includes the fundamental aspects to consider with regard to hitting: choosing the right bat, holding the bat properly, maintaining the ball in hand, releasing the ball in preparation to make contact, maintaining a strong base with the lower body, the swing, and the mental aspect. The bat needs to be chosen based on the characteristics of the player and the approach they will take when hitting. We will see examples of how this can be done with bats of 30 to 34 inches in length. Otherwise, bats in length from anywhere from 25 to 31 inches can be used by adults. It is recommended to use softball bats because the barrel is longer, more balanced, and results in a more precise contact. Let us start with explaining the one-handed swing. This requires a soft grip on the bat's handle and will need a good wrist action. Holding the bat with only one hand makes it heavier and less manageable. As such, players need to choke up in effort to regain that balance. The ball needs to be held in a way that the bat can strike it in the flushest way possible. The batter needs to overcome that initial fear of hitting their own hand. This video is an example of a hitter taking dry swings. It is recommended to take a couple of practice half swings before the actual contact is made. The goal is to get a good starting position and eventually build the muscle memory needed to do this consistently. Letting go of the ball needs to be done in a way that allows good contact with the bat. Keep the hand steady to establish a firm target, and then at the last moment, move it out of the way. Here we have an example of a Cuban hitter in slow motion. There are different starting positions that a hitter can take. These include bat on shoulder, bat behind the head aligned with the ball, and bat behind the head and far from the body in a position ready to make direct contact. The swing could be exactly like baseball, without hip rotation and a windmill style with the ball starting lower to the ground. Shifting the weight and turning the hips in some manner is critical for a good hit. A wrist flick is also a fundamental mechanical component of making good contact. This is similar to the baseball swing. This slow motion video shows a Cuban player who is currently losing his sight, but has played baseball throughout his life. As such, he has great mechanics. In this video, you will see a player using a swing without hip rotation. The ball starts in the strike zone, and as you can see from the following sequence, the lack of hip rotation reflects the player never having played baseball. The batter swings from the batter's box given to women, which is a little bit more inside of the infield. Finally, the style of hitting referred to as the pendulum is seen here. The ball also starts in the strike zone, and the batter raises his arm very high to gather momentum and velocity into the swing. The hips also do not rotate with the swing in this example. Some athletes find this hard to do. Let's talk about the mental side of the game. The athlete needs to concentrate before making contact with dry swings, as previously mentioned, in order to line up the most effective swing that they can make. This is comparable to the baseball pitcher's concentration before delivering a pitch. Swinging and missing at a ball will also require discipline as part of the mental approach. It requires the hitter to bounce back and do their best on the next attempt. Take as many practice swings as necessary in order to line up the body efficiently with the ball that's about to be struck. It is suggested to visualize the ideal swing path in the mind before execution. See the bat move back and then all the way through the ball, as well as the ball itself and where it will go upon excellent contact being made. The batter can take practice swings in front of a net or fence. Keep a bucket full of balls and work on this with numerous repetitions, building the muscle memory that is needed for consistent success. In this video, the batter is in the outfield and can bat towards the foul line to his coach, who's fielding the balls. You will see a coach behind him as well. The same thing can be done by putting the batter at home and hitting the balls in the infield to simulate a game. Now let's talk about practice plans. Coaches must consider the quantity of practices, the quality of practices, and scrimmages within practices. Let's start by talking about quantity. The purpose of the practice will be to use the most time and space possible in order to carry out a large amount of work. Do not overwhelm the players, which will result in a lack of concentration and then poor performances. You'd rather not have to repeat the technical skills so many times as opposed to finding a way to develop the athlete's confidence with the required skills. In terms of quality, the goal of the practice should be to replicate the situations that will be seen in the game. Prioritize concentration and skill acquisition and find the balance among the number of repetitions that are asked of the players. More competent players with existing sound mechanics should be given more autonomy of their individual work within a practice plan. Ask them to conduct themselves as if the practice was an actual game. The swings they take in the batting cage need to be able to be repeated in the game, on the field, and with the same amount of quality and power and control. It is possible to simulate a real game setting. A scrimmage during a practice, despite not being the actual length of the game, can be very useful. These will inevitably feature periodic interruptions for coaches to give their instruction as important points need to be made. Be aware of your approach as a coach and stop the scrimmage when you can make statements that will be of use to the majority of the players. These important learning points can be built into the following practice plan. A practice should ideally take place on a baseball field or a similar type of field with a lot of space. The minimum number of practice for teams of 5 players is 3. More than that will even be better. A standard practice plan might be as follows. Warm up and stretching all the body parts for at least 20 minutes. Running and base running drills for at least 20 minutes. defensive work for 30 minutes, offensive drills for 30 minutes, and then a scrimmage for 20 minutes. In the next slide, you'll see testimonials from the sighted assistants who play with the visually impaired or simply help them on the field. This will help you understand what it means to them to be on the field with our athletes. Hello, my name is Giacomo Reyna, and I play for Thunders 5. I've been playing this sport for 4 years. I was introduced to the team from the suggestion of a friend, as I was looking for a physical activity to do. At first, I didn't take it very seriously, and I didn't think it was right for me. Eventually, I realized how valuable this sport could be, and with the help of some coaching, I started playing games. I was amazed by how important the sport is to Italy. The sport is widely known throughout the country, as there are 12 teams, and the games themselves feature a great amount of competitive spirit. Above all, there's a great sense of friendship that develops with the team, both on and off the field. The most impressive thing is that baseball has been completely adapted to the abilities of the visually impaired. I also realize how skilled the visually impaired athletes really are. A lot of the times, the errors on the field are not from their doing, but from mine and the other sided players. This game provides countless benefits to its players. It teaches them to improve their spatial awareness, overall body control, based on the safety that the game embodies. The presumed differences between baseball and baseball for the blind stems from the unawareness of our sport. I guarantee that participating, even as a spectator, will help you reevaluate your previous perceptions of our sport. Hello, everyone. My name is Luca Fierta. I'm 19 years old. For the past year and a half, I've undertaken the role of assistant player on Leonessa. I started this adventure thanks to my girlfriend. One day, she asked me to help out at practice. She quickly explained the rules of the game to me. Before this experience, it never occurred to me that I could be part of a baseball team. Once I arrived, I saw not only a group of people who played together, but a real family makeup of people of all ages. This really made me think that I could be part of this great team and make a positive contribution. Therefore, I joined the team and received many benefits. I met a lot of great people who soon became my second family. This was also a training method for me, and all of the actions I took on the field helped keep me in shape. It was a stroke of luck that I was introduced to this incredible world which I had never known about before. I hope to continue for as long as possible. Hello. I started playing this sport about 10 years ago. 5 years ago, I stopped playing, but then I resumed about 3 years ago. Nobody in particular brought me to play for the first time. I was thrilled when I heard of the possibility that a visually impaired person could also play baseball. After I did some research, I realized this was a great opportunity. I love everything about this great game: offense, defense, base running, everything. Running around in a free space without fear of getting hurt is a very rare opportunity for me. With nobody having to guide me around, this helped me in a great deal off the field. I learned to be more self sufficient. It improved my spatial awareness and it developed my body to help with regular off field requirements. The team on the field has become like a family. There are countless benefits.
Hello, my name is Serena, and I've been playing baseball for 5 years. A friend of mine who is a long-time participant in the game introduced me to this great game. This sport allows you to feel free, since we all have the freedom to move around in the field, almost at 100% autonomy. The baseball world is truly beautiful because when you play, you build a lot of friendships. We are able to play at the national and international level, and that is amazing. Hello, everyone. We are Samantha and Tanya, and we are 17 and 15 years old. We are sisters, and we both play baseball as sighted assistants. It is truly a great opportunity to be a part of something as special as this game. We invite everyone to come and join us.
With that, I want to conclude this second session. The feeling that we have when we finish our training sessions on the field is that we never know if we were teaching these great athletes or if they were teaching us. Thank you for your attention.